Newt News caught up with Massachusetts State Auditor Diana DiZoglio on Needham Street as she is walking 141 miles across Massachusetts to raise awareness for Ballot Question number 1 before the November 5th election. She met up with two supporters, former State Representative Jay Kaufman and co-vice chair of the Newton Democratic City Committee, Alan Cole, before heading towards the State House.
I am walking 141 miles across the state of Massachusetts, from the Berkshires to Beacon Hill, to encourage folks to please vote yes on 1 to bring on the sun. That is why I am in my bright yellow today, staying on theme. We are fighting for transparency, accountability, equity, and accessibility in our state house, where our state legislature continues to be ranked as the least transparent state legislature in the entire nation, not subject to public records laws, not subject to open meeting laws. Bills are able to be passed in the middle of the night with no public hearing, with no recorded roll call votes. That's unacceptable, friends, in a state like Massachusetts, where we pride ourselves on leading on so many different issues, but yet continue to fall behind in this area of transparency. I am your state auditor, and I am trying to conduct an audit of the state legislature. That has actually always happened throughout history by my office since the inception of my office back in 1849. And we actually have 117 audits that our office has identified of the legislature that our office conducted, that we've actually published online on our website for all of y'all to go and to find, if you want to look at those, that demonstrate clear precedent that this was always the case. Our office always audited the legislature. But in recent years, the legislature has unfortunately pushed back against those audits, with a few people in positions of power essentially saying, "You're not going to audit us. We don't want an audit." That's very concerning for taxpayers who simply want to be able to follow the money, to understand how their taxpayer dollars are being spent, and to make sure that there's accountability in a system of checks and balances that was set up in our Constitution. So we are fighting for a yes on 1 to ensure that those audits that our office always conducted throughout history, that those audits occur once again, and that it makes crystal clear in the law that the legislature is required to follow the same law that every other state entity follows in receiving the same type of audit that every other state entity receives. So we're hoping to get your support on that, friends. Bring some much needed transparency and accountability to Beacon Hill. We cannot do this without you. And I want to turn it over to Jay Kaufman, everybody. If you'd like to say something. Jay is a former representative from Lexington, and I'm sure he has some things to say.
Well, first thing I want to say is thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
As Diana indicated, the legislature is profoundly dysfunctional in a lot of ways, and it doesn't have to be that way. It wasn't that way in 1994 when I was first elected to office. I've watched as over the last 30 years or so, democracy has been in decline. As power has been centralized in the office of the Speaker and Senate President, secrecy has become the rule of the day. Loyalty has been demanded of representatives and senators, not independence of thought. And what Diana is trying to do here, and what we're all trying to do, is just make sure the legislature is doing the job we elected it to do. And sadly, it has not. And I'm excited about the fact that this campaign is bringing a lot of attention to that. I'm excited for the media attention to it, because that's what it's going to take us, we the public, we the people, are going to have to take our government back from the folks who control it on Beacon Hill right now. It's a difficult challenge. Diana's to be applauded for her role in trying to address that challenge. And voters, please join us.
Alan, Mr. Chairman, would you like to say something?
I'm also supporting Diana because I believe this is a very important topic. It's one that has been favored by both Democrats and Republicans, and it's very refreshing to get a candidate, now an auditor, who will do what she said she was going to do and do what the people have been asking her to do. This has been long overdue. We need the legislature to cross their T's and dot their I's like everybody else does. That's plain and simple. And I'm really proud of her for taking it on, for going through all the rigmarole of signatures over and over again to get this done. and I'm hoping that it passes in November, and I think it's a very, very important topic.
Let me just add that in any organization, an audit should be welcomed, unless you have something to hide. Because with an audit, we will either find out that we're not doing things perfectly, in which case we can put in some corrections, or on a good day, we might find out that we've been doing a good job. All of that is fine. It's very telling to me that the legislative leadership, I use the term leadership very loosely, the authority figures in the legislature have been pushing back on this. We ought to be asking, what are they trying to hide?
I would add, too, I, for one, love our legislature, and I know that these folks next to me also love our legislature. Jay and I served in the legislature together, and we got to do some really great work alongside of each other, and I was very grateful for that opportunity. We love the legislature, but we also love transparency, accountability, equity, and accessibility. And those things are not mutually exclusive. We can love our legislature and our local legislators, and we can also love transparency regarding how our tax dollars are being spent, and love the idea of an audit that would shine a light in some of the dark areas of what has, again, been ranked as the most opaque legislature in the entire nation. We have some work to do to make sure that when we hear the words Massachusetts State Legislature, that we think #1 in transparency in the nation. That's my hope. That's my vision. I have a vision for a brighter future for our legislature, that we can get that F ranking, that D and F ranking that the legislature always receives regarding transparency, that we can get that up to where it's supposed to be in a state like Massachusetts, and we can get an A ranking, and I think that an audit can help that.
More information about Question 1 can be found online at sec.state.ma.us and at dianaforma.com. Jen Adams, Newton News, Newton Highlands.